Hello everyone and welcome back to this. This is the 8th session for the Torch Consulting Perfect Storm Coaching Program. And yes, I do change my suits. For you it is a different week. For me, right now we're doing 2 to 3 videos each day simply because of we're being blessed with a very busy schedule. And especially this time of year as advisors and companies are gearing up for the next year and we have all these coaching sessions going on. So we're just trying to do as much as we can in the time that we have. So I do change my suits, rest assured. But here's the deal. Last week we talked about the 30-second infomercial. We talked about what do you say when people ask you, hey, what do you do? Today I want to focus on one more concept, and that is this. What is an age segment that you really want to focus on right now this time of year and beyond as you start off the next year in a strong mode? And whenever an advisor or somebody asks me, Brian, if you went back to becoming a financial advisor full-time, what would you do differently? And I always say I would focus almost exclusively on one market, the traditionalists, those people who are 65 years and older. The reason being is this is a group that is 4 times wealthier than the average 55-year-old in our country and 9 times wealthier than the average 45-year-old in our country. And 45, 55, those are very, very average age ranges for most advisors' clients. Yet these traditionalists are 4 to 9 times wealthier. In addition, this age group is growing 26 times faster than the average age segment, the other age segments in our country. So, and I know I don't want to stereotype, but I do want to talk generalities. So when you're talking to a traditionalist, and you're meeting with them right now at this busy time of year in social settings and in family settings and holiday gatherings and things of that nature, understand that this is an important time for them. When I do a lot of high-value client coaching, one thing we do is spend a great deal of time on this subject of traditionalist marketing. And one thing I always coach are the primary motivators and primary values of people who are of this age range. And what we find is social connections and connections to family are 2 very, very important issues for these individuals. And that's why this time of year we're gathering. We're doing social things. We're meeting with family more often. So they're more likely you're going to run into more of these individuals this time of year than any other. So here's what I'm going to recommend you. Ask them some questions. I'm going to give you a few questions, and of course these questions are included in today's reinforcement notes below. But I'm going to share with you the primary questions you can ask of a traditionalist. And try to do it in this order if you can. The first question should always be, where are you from? If you already know that, say, I know you're from such and such a place. Can you tell me what it was like to grow up there? When we get older, our long-term memory gets stronger and our short-term memory gets weaker. So that's why we can oftentimes traditionalists talk about things that happened so many years ago, but they can't talk about things that happened 3 or 4 days ago as readily. They love to reminisce. Allow that. Show interest. Be interested. There's so much you can learn from a person who's 65 years and older. So where are you from? Or tell me more about what it was like to grow up there. Another good question is, what kind of work do you do or did you do? Some of them are still employed, so don't assume they're retired. In fact, keep away from the word retirement, because retirement means to fall back, to retreat, to go to sleep. That is not retirement. Use words such as the next stage, or when you actually begin to do the things that you want to do, or even let them know you don't like to use the word retirement. Maybe come up with a word that you both like to agree on, because even if they say, oh, you can use the word retirement, they still appreciate the fact that you don't think they're retiring from life. So then again, what work do you do? What work did you do? Tell me a little bit about that. Now, if you're talking about money, there are a list of questions you can ask. One of those is, what principles do you follow with your money? That assumes that you feel they have principles. That assumes that that assumes to them that you have principles. Next question is, what is the best financial decision you've ever made? That'll tell you a lot about that person. Do they believe in paying off their home more early? Do they buy cash for everything? Do they put all their money in a life insurance policy? Another good question is how did you learn about money? How did you learn about investing? Now, these questions here, as you can see, are questions designed if the conversation has fallen into the idea of finances, and they're asking you questions, and you're just kind of going along with the conversation. Those first 2 questions can last you a full conversation, even if it doesn't go to money, and it will still help you connect. That is, where are you from, or tell me what it was like to grow up there, and what do you do for a living, or what did you do for a living? You can just run those for the entire conversation. Another good question, is there any investment that you don't like due to a matter of principle or moral reason? Maybe they don't want to invest in a company that invests in the tobacco industry or the alcohol industry. Unfortunately, there are still some people who don't want to invest in companies that have stocks in other countries and do their work in other countries. We still have a lot of that. So understand that you want to know that. Many of them are going to say, well, I really don't have any, but at least you asked. The next question now, again, if this is now a little bit further into if you're sitting down with them in a one-on-one meeting, but I'm going to give you this anyway, is really ask them, what do you expect from this relationship? Now that's, again, if you're in a one-on-one meeting with them and you're talking about their financial situation. The other ones you can actually use just in a normal social setting, primarily the first one and the second one. Now this last one is one that you can always bring up in a meeting, in any session, is do you have grandchildren? Please tell me about your grandchildren. For some reason, traditionalists love to talk about their grandchildren, even more so than they used to like to talk about their own children when their children were young. Because, you know, when our children are young, so often we're busy, and we're not appreciating truly what we have in these little wonders running around us. When we get old and we retire, things change, our perspective changes, our priority changes, and all of a sudden our grandchildren mean so much to us. So, those are just some questions you can ask when you're sitting down or talking to a traditionalist during this time of year in a social setting. And for some of these questions are if you're going more intimate and more professional in your conversations regarding their financial situation. All right, we are at 9 minutes, or a little roughly 9 minutes. I'll let you go for today. In the meantime, have a wonderful, productive, meaningful week. Have fun. Enjoy the holidays this time of year, being with friends and family. If you need me in order to reach me via email, text, or phone, otherwise, I'll see you back here very soon, same time, same place.